So, what happens when your most brilliant IT talent, the real stars, become your biggest management headache? How do you lead these high performing, often very unique individuals? You don't want to stifle their innovation, obviously, but you still need to make sure critical projects actually get done, right? And keep the organization moving forward. Welcome back to The Deep Dive. We're the show that digs into the crucial ideas from materials you send our way. Today, we're really getting into the weeds on managing exceptional IT talent. It's tricky. Our guide here is Chapter 15, Managing Talent, from The Adventures of an IT Leader, great book by Austin Nolan and O'Donnell. Our mission, pull out those key strategic leadership insights, looking at it through the lenses of organizational management and IT issues. These are absolutely vital if you're navigating strategic information systems. Maybe you're a grad student like many listeners in, say, the BCIS 53-801 course at Tarleton State, or perhaps you're already out there leading digital transformation. So as you listen, maybe think about how these lessons connect to your own work, your studies, the challenges you're seeing. And hey, if you find this useful, maybe share it with someone else wrestling with IT leadership or digital strategy. We'd love that.
Oh, definitely. These talent challenges, they aren't just abstract concepts, are they? They're so practical. They really test you as a leader. And the book, it uses this really relatable story to make these points stick. Super impactful for anyone stepping into a strategic IT role.
Okay, let's dig in. Let's unpack what the source calls the Ivan problem. So picture this. You're Jim Barton, the new CIO. You're just getting settled, trying to get through your inbox, and in walks Tyra Gordon, one of your most trusted managers. And she looks worried, really worried. The problem? A guy named Ivan Korsky. Now, Ivan isn't just some average employee. The source describes him as uniquely talented, a 10x developer, a software architect. Basically, he's 10 times more productive than most, easily. Plus, his code, stellar quality. And he can actually communicate well, which,
Yeah, that's the unicorn right there.
exactly, the kind of person every CIO dreams of having on the team.
And you really have to grasp the strategic importance of someone like Ivan. He's not just good, he's a potential game changer. For IVK, the company in the story, he's absolutely essential for innovation, for staying ahead. Think about their Alpha 3 project. It's critical. High stakes. New features clients are desperate for. If they miss that deadline, we're talking serious customer dissatisfaction, maybe even losing clients. Hits the credibility hard. It just shows how one person's productivity or lack thereof can ripple out and impact the whole business strategy.
Okay, but here's the twist, the real problem. Despite Ivan being this incredibly valuable asset, Tyra reveals he's spending, get this, more than half his time on something entirely unrelated to IVK. He's off working on his own personal pet project.
Oh.
Yeah. So you've got this genius, this indispensable resource, and he's basically moonlighting on your dime. What does that do to you as a leader? What's that immediate gut reaction?
Oh, it's a total gut punch, isn't it? Because you know how valuable he is. You absolutely need him. But then his actions just create this massive tension. And Barton has to face it.
Yeah.
This isn't just Ivan goofing off. It directly impacts a mission-critical project. It's a major strategic headache.
Right, and that tension throws us straight into our first lens, organizational issues. We're talking culture, talent, mission, that whole balancing act. Barton's first thought, according to the source, enormous turnover risk. Losing Ivan isn't like losing just any developer. It could derail things for months, maybe years. That unique knowledge just walks out the door. And Tyra admits they don't really have a formal HR process for these priority one folks beyond the usual reviews. Nothing to capture that unique inherent capability.
That's a huge organizational blind spot, isn't it? A real gap in their strategy for managing critical talent. And it makes you wonder, how are organizations set up to find, keep, and really nurture these rare birds? The source mentions IVK already bends the rules sometimes. Like for John Cho, another top engineer who's also a jazz musician, he has an unusual schedule.
Right, they accommodate him.
Exactly, which reflects reality, right? Sometimes you have to be flexible to keep top IT talent. But Ivan's situation, it feels different. It pushes that flexibility into a dangerous zone. If you let this slide, what message does that send? The source says, a horrible message.
Yeah, you can imagine the resentment, people seeing a double standard.
Absolutely. It could kill team morale, damage productivity across the board. So you've got this conflict, fairness versus flexibility. How do you retain the star without alienating the rest of the team? It's a classic organizational behavior puzzle.
And like you said, Ivan being distracted isn't just an internal issue. It hits the Alpha 3 deadline. That means it impacts customers.
Precisely. And that brings in things like role ambiguity, process issues. Look, encouraging side projects can be good. It can boost engagement, maybe spark innovation.
Sure.
But it can also blur the lines. What are the priorities? What's expected? Ivan apparently thought his patent crusade, his pet project, was genuinely righteous work, maybe even more important than Alpha 3. That clash between empowerment and delivery. It ties right into that old IT service management triad. People, process, technology. For listeners maybe not familiar, it just reminds us that IT effectiveness depends on all three working together. Here, Ivan's actions, the people element, are disrupting the process for Alpha 3 and causing team friction, which ultimately impacts the customer and business outcomes. The whole system gets out of whack.
Okay, let's shift to our second lens. Management issues. Accountability, leadership, trust, all the messy stuff. What jumps out is that nobody knew, Tyra didn't know, Barton didn't know, until Tyra finally flags it. And I'm like, Ivan. He genuinely believed his side hustle was a noble cause, maybe more vital than his actual job.
Yeah, that points to a serious communication breakdown, doesn't it? A massive misalignment on expectations and priorities.
Definitely.
And the source calls this a personal test of Barton's leadership. It really puts him on the spot. And Tyra feels incredibly guilty. She's described as a conscientious manager, and she feels she dropped the ball.
Understandable.
The options are just brutal. Fire Ivan. Alpha 3 is probably toast, huge cost to the company, tolerate it. You basically tell everyone else that accountability doesn't matter if you're talented enough.
It's that high wire act the book mentions. How do you demand accountability without crushing the innovative spark or losing the person altogether?
Exactly. It takes real management skill, understanding what drives people, navigating the culture.
So Barton needs advice. He turns to Bernie Rubin, the finance guy. And Barton's first instinct, maybe a typical one, is let's use tech to monitor people. Track keystrokes, hours, whatever.
The classic knee-jerk reaction.
Right. But Bernie pushes back hard. He warns against that classic impulse use tech to solve a people problem. His point is, those tools, they can be gamed. Metrics like hours logged, they can totally deceive.
Someone could log 50 hours writing junk code.
While Ivan solves a huge problem in 10 hours that nobody else could touch.
Bernie's insight here is just spot on, and it's something I really stress with my strategic IS students. He says, ultimately, we want to pay for outcomes, not hours. We want to buy their smarts and creativity, not their time blocks.
That's powerful.
It really is. It gets to the heart of managing knowledge workers, especially in IT. Time is easy to track, sure, but real value, innovation, problem solving, architectural vision, you can't measure that with a clock.
So it comes down to trust.
Yeah, Bernie's basically advocating for trust-based management. Empower talented people. Focus on what they deliver, their impact, not just how many minutes they spend at the keyboard. It's about creating an environment for brilliance, not just compliance. You need wisdom to interpret what you're seeing.
Okay, that leads us nicely into our third lens, IT issues, thinking about strategic alignment, organizational design. Barton has this light bulb moment. Weakness in IT strategy isn't only about technology roadmaps, it's also about people. That's key. And Ivan's project itself, this random patent application generator designed to flood the system with nonsense. Yeah, that raises huge red flags, right? Data governance issues, ethical questions for IVK. Even though he used his own gear, he accessed the company network remotely for testing. That immediately brings up cybersecurity risks, liability concerns.
Absolutely. That's a direct hit on strategic IT risk management, something any IT leader has to own. And this whole mess makes Barton question their entire IT structure.
Right. He asks Bernie, does their current set of developers embedded in business units actually help or hurt when managing talent and keeping things aligned strategically?
Good question. And Bernie floats some alternatives like shared services models or maybe a centralized development group, an elite dev team, he calls it.
Interesting.
It's a major strategic choice, isn't it? Centralizing could mean you direct your top talent, like Ivan, to the company's highest priorities, not just one unit's project. Imagine an elite team where Ivan's skills get deployed strategically across IVK. Maximum impact. Plus, that kind of structure might make it easier to integrate external help, maybe specialized vendors or cloud services, for things like advanced cybersecurity or AI, if they decide to go that route.
But Bernie also mentions downsides to centralization, right, for talent development.
Yeah, there are always trade-offs.
Yeah.
Centralizing could spark competition, which might be good, Or could lead to stagnation, maybe morale problems if people feel stuck. Needs careful management.
So it's complex.
It really is, and it connects to broader IT leadership frameworks. You think about something like COBIT 5. It stresses getting the structure right, clear roles, growth paths, performance expectations. It's about aligning people with business strategy.
But it's not just rigid structure.
No, not at all.
Right.
You also have agile ideas floating around, pushing for flexibility for self-organizing teams of talented individuals. That resonates with giving smart people freedom, trusting them.
So the challenge is blending those, structure and freedom.
That's the leadership tightrope. Finding enough structure for governance and accountability, but enough freedom for creativity and brilliance to shine. It's an ongoing balancing act.
Okay, now the story takes this really cool, unexpected turn. Barton, feeling the weight of this Ivan situation, goes to see his network engineer, John Cho, play sax at a jazz club.
The jazz analogy. I love this part.
Me too. Barton watches the quartet play, and he's just mesmerized, and it triggers this huge insight for him about managing his own team.
It's such a brilliant metaphor for IT management, isn't it?
Really?
John explains it to Barton. In jazz, everyone has a role: sax, drums, bass, piano. Just like in IT, you need developers, testers, ops, security folks, data people.
Clear roles.
Clear roles, yes. And crucially, trust. Trusting your bandmates, your teammates, to nail their part. When that happens, John says, the whole system hums. That's effective IT operations right there.
But it's more dynamic than just sticking to your part, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. John talks about their basic rule. They rotate who takes the lead. That structure actually frees us, he says.
Interesting. Structure creates freedom.
Exactly. But within that structure, they can bend the rules, riff off each other. It's the perfect picture of innovation in IT. You need just enough rules, so everyone knows the basic tune, but then lots of room to improvise. Controlled chaos, maybe?
I like that. Controlled chaos.
And then there's John's quote, "Technique is the dancer's freedom." Wow.
Yeah.
It means mastering your craft coding, architecture, playing sax, gives you the freedom, the ability to solve problems creatively, on the fly. But it's not just about technical chops. John emphasizes using that skill tastefully, knowing when not to play, listening to others.
Like teamwork in IT.
Precisely. Knowing when to step up, when to support, when to let a specialist handle it, when to maybe challenge something respectfully. It's about the team's harmony, not just your own solo.
The source also tells that story about John blanking on a tune once.
Right, and how the rest of the quartet covered for him. Someone kept the rhythm steady, predictable, while he found his way back. Or sometimes they step back, give space.
That's so relevant to IT projects, isn't it? Dealing with unexpected bugs, system outages, how the team recovers.
Totally. It's about handling pressure, building confidence, knowing your team has your back when things go sideways. Real-world project recovery in action.
That jazz analogy is just so rich. It really makes you wonder, though, can that kind of fluid, trusting, improvisational vibe actually work in a huge IT department? Can you scale that jazz combo feeling across hundreds, maybe thousands of people? Does that kind of collaboration scale?
That's the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? It really gets at the heart of modern IT organizational design. You probably can't just replicate a 4-person quartet with 1,000 people. But can you capture the spirit? Maybe it's about modularity, creating smaller, empowered teams, squads, tribes, whatever you call them, that can operate with that jazz-like flow.
Within a larger structure.
Exactly. Within a larger guiding framework. It would demand amazing communication, a really clear shared vision, and probably more distributed leadership. So different people step up to lead depending on the need, like musicians trading solos. It's less about scaling the quartet itself, more about embedding those principles: trust, agility, shared purpose, disciplined improvisation, deep into the organizational culture.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this up, this deep dive into managing talent really hammers home that managing people, your talent, is just as critical strategically as managing the tech itself, maybe even more so. We've seen it through Tyra's worry about Ivan, Bernie's wisdom about focusing on outcomes, not just hours, and John Cho's fantastic jazz metaphor. It all points to this complex blend leaders need: structure and spontaneity, technical skill and teamwork, trust and accountability, finding that harmony.
Harmony, that's a good word for it. Balancing individual brilliance with the collective performance to really drive strategic value.
Well, we really hope this discussion gave you some food for thought, whether you're hitting the books, climbing the leadership ladder, or already in the CIO seat. We genuinely love to hear your own experiences. How do you manage unique talent? How do you balance that need for innovation with the discipline required to deliver? Let us know.
And maybe one final thought to leave you with. Playing on that jazz idea, thinking about IT as an ensemble, what instrument do you play in your organization? And how do you help your team harmonize to create real strategic value, especially when things get unpredictable and you need to improvise? Thanks for tuning in and stay strategic.